Hi, and welcome to International Young Prophets. We have had an amazing time with Dr. Melodye Hilton going through her book, but I wanted to end this off to which I feel like it's the highest thing and our highest aim to love well and to love like Jesus. And I know we talk about the agape type love, which is an unconditional God love that we can have for people. But I really I really value your take on love because I can learn more from you on this. So let's talk about love and how you view that equally as valuing people the way God views them.
Well, God has called us not just to love our neighbor as ourselves, but to love him as he loves. And I don't think any of us have arrived. I think that's a lifelong process of being more and more conformed to the image of Christ so that we can love as he loves.
Yeah.
And that's a powerful principle because I recognize how far I have to go. But I also have to recognize then what is my love and what is his love.
Yeah.
And just like all the other fruit of the Spirit, I choose to love. It's a choice I make. Love is not based upon a feeling. It is based upon a choice. And when I make the choice to love, then my actions align with that choice.
Yeah, and I love that. And even with you've raised up. I know some people are getting to know you or watching. She's raised up so many young leaders, and the young leaders that I've seen are healthy and whole and that kind of thing. That means that they had really a really good mom and dad. That you and Stephen have really taught them about love and displayed that before them. So let's talk about when you are sharing about raising leaders and loving them as a mom, because there's so many young leaders that ask me, how do I get a spiritual mom or dad? How do I choose them? Like what are some of the things that two-sided love, like it should be, reciprocated, but just share a little bit about that.
Well, I think someone has to work harder on their growth than you will. So the fact is, there was times in my life where I wanted someone to be a success so much that I worked and worked and worked and worked for their success, and they did not work as hard.
Because you felt that was love.
I thought it was love,
Okay.
when in actuality, it wasn't, because they weren't taking responsibility for their own life. And so I've learned to invest into those who are willing to accept personal responsibility. Wow. And they've been willing to manage their private world. And I've also recognized that any good or healthy relationship is mutually giving and receiving from one another. So it's not just me giving all, and it's not just them giving all. We both give. We both invest. And so we have to recognize, our people, are they being honest? Do they speak in half-truths? Do they just tell you the portion they want to hear, want you to hear? Or are they giving you the full truth? Are they being very authentic with what's going on the inside of them? Because I don't need someone to patronize me. Yeah. I need someone to be honest with me. So if we're going to advance and we're going to grow, then what do you really need? And if I don't know what you're battling with, then how can I help you overcome? And so real, genuine love is accepting someone for where they're at, but challenge them to become the best they can become. Yeah. And so they're going to have to be willing to be honest. And so that's a little scary when we've learned to protect our hearts because we've been hurt, because we've not been accepted by individuals. And so I think it's just learning who we can trust and who we cannot, who loves authentically and who loves out of usury. And sometimes we don't know those things until we begin to walk out on the water a little bit and test a relationship. And there's nothing wrong with testing that relationship to say, is this person really going to value my investment in their life? Yeah. And am I going to value who they are?
Yeah, and one of the things too, talking with young leaders, we talk about generations running together and doing it together, and I know that's really important to you also, as well as myself. So when you are doing that, how do you make I know you talk about walking out on the water, but there's something in us that has to say, okay, we're willing to put our hearts out there and say, let's do it, because I don't know that we could be successful without our hearts being joined together, because that's called covenant.
Yes.
And so really, to build the kingdom of God, you have to be in covenant with people. It doesn't mean you have to be in covenant with everyone, but there are people that are God ordained covenant to be with. So how can you, even when we talk about love, because when we talk about agape love, we talk about those things. It's really not a feeling, it's a choice love that we talk about. So how do you, through the hard times, think about loving someone as a mom? Because, I know these young leaders want to hear this. How do you
Well,
do that and you just don't throw the person away?
actually, I never walk away from a person, but I don't chase them if they walk away from me.
Wow.
Okay? And I choose to love everyone, no matter what they've done, whether they've been trustworthy or untrustworthy, whether they betrayed me, whether they rejected me. I'm going to choose to love, because love has to come from my character. Love has to come from the Spirit of God being shed abroad in my heart. It has to do with everything of my relationship with God. So if I am going to honor my God, I am going to love. But that doesn't mean I grant them access to my heart. That doesn't mean I partner with them. That doesn't mean they work for me, but I can still choose to love. There was a time in my life where one of the greatest groups I wanted to go to were the Satanists. They didn't love this little Christian lady. There was not a love lost there at all. And so, but I so loved them. I wanted to demonstrate to them how much I love them. Now, how could I do that? I could love them fully and completely because I was loving them with the love of the Lord. But would I grant them access to my heart? No. That would have been foolish, because they were not trustworthy. They didn't have the character. They probably would have taken advantage of me. They probably stole from me. Who knows what they would have done? I did not give them access to my heart, but I was able to love them unconditionally because I still guarded my heart. The Bible says, above all things, we've got to guard our heart with all diligence, because that is what brings the course of our life. That's what directs the course of our life. And so there is an ability to love fully and love unconditionally when we know who to give access to our heart to and who not to give access to.
So say you have these young prophets out there, young leaders, and I mean, it's their desire also to build generationally with people. How would you, stepping in their shoes, but you're also a baby boomer, stepping in their shoes, what are some things that you would tell them when looking for a mentor in their life, or a spiritual mom or dad?
Well, one thing, a lot of people ask me to mentor them, and you only have so much time in a day, right? Yeah. And my heart is very moved towards young people, and I want to adopt them all. But I've learned that I need to place a demand upon them. And I said a little bit earlier about personal responsibility. So when people come and they say, Melodye, would you invest in me? Would you mentor me? And I'd say, okay, what I want you to do is I want you to read my book first, or I want you to do this, or when you do this, after you do that, you call me and we'll talk about it. And I will be very honest, probably 5% might actually do that.
Wow, that's a low percentage.
It's a very low percentage. There's a whole lot more who will never do that. Because see, sometimes people think if I hang around you, if I know you, and if I'm in your presence and you're loving on me, somehow by osmosis, I'm going to receive what you carry. I'm going to be able to work with you. I'm going to be able to tell people I know you, all those type of things. But if somebody really wants my heart, they're going to have to value what I carry enough that they're going to be willing to pay a price to learn from me. So I give them things without I might give an hour of my time, but I give them responsibilities. I do personal coaching and executive coaching through my consulting company. And I literally have in my contract that we will not go to session 2 until you do the homework of session 1. And there's an individual who paid a lot of money for 12 coaching sessions with me. And it's been about a year and a half, and we're not even at session 3.
Wow.
Why? Because they never did the homework of session 2. And so probably I know that there will probably never be another session. And so we can say we want something, but I'm going to know somebody wants something by their willingness to pay a price, their willingness to accept responsibility. And if they really value what I carry, not just my platform, if they really value what I carry, they are going to be willing to listen to that video or to read that book, or do something to say, if I value what you carry, I recognize that this book is filled with Melodye Hilton. So I say, you read this book and we'll talk about chapter 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And then I'll really be able to share what is behind those things. And then we can start talking more personally and relationally. And so when people pursue, Elijah pursued Elijah. He went in there and said, hey, here's a mantle, threw it on him, and walked away. But what did Elisha do? He burned the cattle. He burned. Everything behind him was, he made it to where he could never go back. He could never go back. He was willing to pay a price. And in the process, he got a double portion, not because he was trying to get a double portion, but because he was going to love fully. And I want to say this because now you're really touching my passions, because I have learned I can't be a spiritual mama without a spiritual son or daughter.
Wow.
And so I can be mama all day long. And I love being a mama in the spirit. I really do. But if you're not willing to be a daughter, or you're not willing to be a son, then I can't be a mama. I mean, there's people I embraced into my life. I invested so much. And I began to recognize all my investment didn't fix them. All my investment couldn't cause them to open their heart to be a daughter or open their heart to be a son. Because guess what? If you're going to be a daughter, you're going to have to be vulnerable. You're going to have to be real. You're going to have to let down your guard. You're going to have to grant me access to your heart. And when you grant me access to your heart, then now we are building together. We're coming together, me doing my part, you doing your part. And I can discern manipulation. And when I recognize that people are pulling from me because they want my platform, or they are needing something from me, or they have a mindset that somehow Melodye can fix me, I really pull back from those things because I can't fix anybody. Jesus is the only one that can fix us. And all I can do is be me. All I can do is love well, but I can't heal somebody. It's going to be them and their walk with God. I never draw people to me. And I believe what really is a healthy spiritual parent is one who draws people to Jesus.
Absolutely.
One that challenges them to be mature, challenges them to take responsibility for their life, challenges them to be willing to work hard and process through their lives in such a way that they'll assess themselves and they'll adjust their attitudes and they will manage the processes of their thoughts and deal with their feelers and deal with those things, because there's no easy fix. Anybody who wants something to happen overnight, it's never going to happen. And you can, say you're my daughter or say you're my son, but if you're not willing to work on this yourself, saying those words doesn't make it happen. And so to be a spiritual mother or father or there's a difference between a mentor. I can be a mentor to a lot of people. I can be a spiritual mama to a few, because that's a whole greater level of access. I can mentor a lot because mentors give you what they know and they can empower you to grow. But mamas and papas give their heart. And they give their heart such access to their heart because they want to see you go so much farther than they ever will. And I'll pay a price and I'll build a platform. And when I become a mama, it is not about my success. It's about their success.
Wow,
And
that's
I
so
will
good.
literally relegate my opinions to theirs. I'll go to my spiritual sons and daughters and say, what do you think? And you can ask them. I'll do what they want much quicker than what I want, because I am so committed to who they are that I'll put myself on the back burner, because guess what? I'm in the third trimester of my life. I'm in my 60s. Guess what? It's not just what I do. They've got 40 years to run. They've got 50 years to run this race. Some got 60 years to run this race. I need for them. I need for them to stand on my shoulders. I need for them to go so much farther than I ever dreamed, because they carry things I don't have. And so being a mama in the spirit is a very big deal. And I don't do that quickly. I do that very slowly. But I can be a mentor to many, and that's still powerful. It's still a heart relationship. It's just a different level of access.
Wow, wow. I love that. Such good talk here, heart talk. So love Dr. Melody. And so we're so grateful that we're all trying to do this correctly. We're trying to, generations of leaders, generations of prophets trying to run together. And let's do it well and love each other well. Thank you so much for joining us.